Rumors are flying around right now for Sam Leavitt. Will he stay? Will he go? What does it mean for ASU's future? We're going to talk about that today. This is Devil's Advocate with Richie Bradshaw, where we talk all things Sun Devils football and more. It's game day previews, recruiting, and everything you need to stay up to date with the Arizona State Sun Devils. I am Richie Bradshaw. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have not hit subscribe yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, and you'll get an update for all the content that we have over here. Today, we're going to be focused on Sam Leavitt. There was a report that came out earlier this week that Leavitt is shopping himself. There were sort of contradictions that came with that. I guess you could call it that. There's just a lot going on, and there's a lot of questions about the future of the Sun Devils right now, and a lot of the other teams in the country and the conference and down south are kind of enjoying it. I saw someone called it ASU's on a Linsanity run. Yeah, that's not the case. But you know what? We're going to talk about all that, and let's go ahead and start with the rumor itself. Sam Leavitt shopping himself. So this came out in a report from On3 earlier in the week. The report said something along the lines of Sam Leavitt is shopping himself, and he is doubtful to return to ASU. So actually, before I get to that, not long after, we had a screenshot from Sam Leavitt's brother, who we've heard from before. We saw him, I think it was the BYU game, where he hopped on social media. It might have been like an Instagram Live or something, and was talking smack to the BYU fans and everything, and the people who were talking smack about Sam Leavitt and whatnot. You know, haters, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the whole context of it, but we've seen him before. So it's not like the brother just came out of nowhere. His brother is an advocate for Sam. And clearly he is someone that has an impact on the way that Sam is operating his future. Last year, it seemed like he was just a big-time advocate and a big-time fan. Now, with this report and the screenshots that were sent out, it does appear that he is helping Sam make career-defining decisions. So there's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot that needs to be weighed out. This is not just Sam Leavitt thinking this by himself. He has got people with him that are giving pointers. They're funneling in their own advice. There's more than just Sam Leavitt as a factor here for what this decision is going to be, and that does matter quite a bit. You make a decision for yourself. You go out and you're looking for fast food. You're going to pick for yourself. You're like, you know what? In-N-Out sounds really good today. So you go to In-N-Out, but you go out with a group. Now the group is all thinking together. Someone says In-N-Out. Someone says, I don't want to go to In-N-Out. Okay, well, what about Red Robin? Red Robin sounds okay. Okay, well, what about Whataburger? Whataburger might be a good choice. And then everyone universally agrees. But that's groupthink that comes together. That's what we're kind of looking at here. Now, I say kind of because Sam is still making the ultimate choice because this is his future. Whereas you pick a place to eat, that's going to impact everyone. It's not like everyone is choosing where we're going to eat and then you're the only one who eats. So it's not the best example, but it's kind of that logic of everyone's kind of putting their opinions out there for you to listen to. That's what we are staring at here. Now, I have reached out to some people that I know that understand the situation, and I just got their thoughts. I don't think anyone really knows anything right now outside of Sam and his camp. I think right now it's a lot of speculation, and I think right now it's a lot of looking at the tea leaves and reading in between the lines. What we know is that Sam Leavitt took a discount to stay at ASU last year. And he said as much himself. What's a few $100,000 when you can stay in a place that's going to get you prepared for the NFL? And that remains the ultimate goal for Sam Leavitt, is to get to the pros. How can it not be? That's every football player's dream. And Sam Leavitt has a very realistic shot to not only get to the NFL, but to be a high draft pick. It's not just ASU fans that have envisioned Sam Leavitt being a first round pick. We have seen those conversations of Sam Leavitt being a first round pick. That was the case going into 2026 for the draft. That will be the case potentially for 2027 for the draft, depending on how everything shakes out. If you're a draft fan, you know that this quarterback class is an absolute mess because we don't know who's declaring. We don't know who's coming back. You could have 5 first-round picks, or you could have 2 for this year. So going to be really interesting. But Sam Leavitt is going to weigh the options that will get him ready to make that next level jump. And that's where some of the conversations that I had with people is it seems very unlikely that Sam Leavitt is going to come back. It seems very unlikely that ASU is going to be able to keep up in more ways than one with other programs. And specifically the Big 12, or not the Big 12, the Big 10 and the SEC conference. If any program from those two conferences has an interest in Sam Leavitt, they will be able to contend with ASU, or they will be able to outmatch ASU. That's just the reality. It's not about hurt feelings here. It's just the reality that ASU is not able, and maybe never will be able, if we're just being completely honest, to keep up with those type of programs and keep their players if NIL and money becomes the biggest factor here. And I don't know what the biggest factor is for Sam Leavitt. I don't think any of us know. Again, you look at the tea leaves, and it appears that it's going to be an NIL thing. It's going to be a money thing. Someone's going to approach Sam Leavitt, and they're going to give him $3 or $4 million, which is something that ASU cannot offer. They can. It puts the rest of the roster at risk because you're trying to distribute that money. Think of it like a salary cap. But instead of a spread out salary cap like what you have in the NFL, it's more like Major League Baseball, where it's how much can you set aside? How much can you afford to spend yourself? The whole luxury tax thing. It's why the Dodgers are able to stack up so many good players compared to the rest of the league, is because they have the money and the resources to do that. That's the same thing for your Alabamas and your Ohio States, is they have the money and the resources to outbid you for certain players. That's why those teams stay atop. Now, the transfer portal has balanced all that out, but, that conversation is irrelevant right now. The point is that ASU does not have the resources. And again, they may never have the resources. The program's a sleeping giant, as we have heard a countless number of times. But ASU does have finite resources compared to those programs, compared to Oregon, compared to USC, compared to Georgia, compared to Florida, compared to Michigan. ASU simply does not have those resources, and they may never have those resources, which will always place them behind the 8 ball when they are looking at situations like this with Sam Leavitt. So people I've spoken to do not believe Levitt is coming back. If you want my personal opinion, well, you know what? That'll be at the end of the episode. So those have to stick around. ASU, if they do lose Sam Leavitt, they will have the extra NIL and the extra dollars to spread out throughout the roster. And there are going to be a lot of departures. This was a senior heavy team. So there's going to be a lot of holes to fill. So it's not necessarily the worst thing if you have that extra coin to go out and beef up your defensive line or restock your linebackers or add some more receivers to the room. That's not a bad scenario for you, but you also are just looking to have that level of consistency and talent at the quarterback position that Sam Leavitt has. He is an NFL quarterback. He has potential to be a first round pick. He's got the big arm. He is an elite runner. There are a lot of things that Sam Leavitt brings to the table for you. A lot of things that quarterbacks do not bring to the table. ASU, very unlikely, will be able to immediately find someone that plays at the level that Sam Leavitt does, or even better. It's just probably not in the cards for ASU. It'd be very difficult. So you kind of want to keep Sam Leavitt for that reason. Now, here's something that I want to make perfectly clear. And I've talked about this many, many times over the last several years for those of you who have followed my previous content. NIL is here to stay. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It does not matter how you feel about it. It does not matter whether it creates an unfair competitive advantage in college football. It's just the way it is. And we are going to be very close to universities starting to add contracts with giving these kids scholarships and saying, hey, we want to offer you a full ride and everything, but you have to sign a deal that says you have to play here 2 years. You have to play here 3 years. You have to fulfill these promises, stuff like that. We're going to see that at some point in time. That's just the reality of where we're trending. We are getting to a point where college football is semi-pro football, and that is heartbreaking. As someone that loves college football, for the purity of it and for the fact that that sticker on the side of your helmet and the university that you go to means more to you than anything else. That you have players that would spend all 4 years of their eligibility playing at one program, even if they could have gone pro after their third season, because of how much it means to them to play at that university. It's still there, but it's not even close to what it used to be. So much of college football is transactional now. What can you do for me now? Can you afford to to acquire my services, which is actually crazy that a 16 or 17-year-old kid has the power to demand that stuff. That's insane. But it's just where we're at. And it's not going away. They're going to try and balance it at some point in time. We are 100% going to start seeing universities put stipulations and contracts and all that sort of stuff, read the fine print kind of thing, that says you have to play here a certain amount of time. You cannot make this amount of money until A, B, C, and D are taken care of. We are going to get to that point. It is inevitable. And with the way things are, it's necessary. And I feel like fans should be embracing when that inevitably comes. Because if you're tired of guys transferring, and believe me, I am, I love the transfer portal. I love it because it has helped to balance out college football. What I do not love about the transfer portal is how it enables kids to just jump from program to program to program to program with little to no consequences. You don't sit out a year anymore. You don't have to worry about any sort of eligibility. What you had previously is what you have moving forward. It's frustrating. And it has enabled kids to quit. It has enabled kids to really not understand how the real world works. Because if you do go pro, it's not going to be as easy as you think to go from one team to another. You might have to play out your 4-year deal. You might have to request a trade, sit out, and still maybe not get moved. It is not that simple as it is for college football to enter your name in a portal and see you later, no punishment, no repercussions. And I don't like that. It also teaches the lesson that if you get beat out at your position, you can just go somewhere else. You can go somewhere else and start right away. That does not work for me. You need to be willing to compete for more than a year. Now, look, you stay at a program for 2 years or 3 years, it's not working out. That's where I'm good with the portal. You know, maybe you're not going to see the field while you're at this program. Or maybe you are dominating at a lower level and you know that you can take that jump to a higher level. You can take that jump to a larger program and just make better opportunities for yourself. That's where I love the portal. But I do not love the portal for the way it enables kids to have complete free reign over how the world works of college football. It does not work moving forward, and it can't work now. So we need contracts at some point. But that was a whole spiel. That was a whole spiel from me talking about the future of college football. So bringing it back to Sam Leavitt, that's just kind of what you need to understand right now. You can be as mad as you want about Sam Leavitt and him potentially leaving. And if he stays, you can still be mad that that possibility was out there and those rumors are floating out there. And I don't fault you for feeling that way. I'm upset. I'm not happy about this at all. But that is the world we live in. And Sam Leavitt, at the end of the day, needs to consider his future. And Sam Leavitt needs to make sure that he is setting himself up in the best position possible. Secure your bag now. And I will never fault guys for that. I will never fault guys if they get offered millions of dollars to do something. Yeah, that's hard to turn down. That is life-changing money. That is big time. You can't just overlook that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter at the end of the day if Sam Leavitt goes on to be a first ballot NFL Hall of Fame player or he's a camp arm. If you have the ability to start saving for yourself now and prepare yourself for the future, you do it. I want you to look me in the eye and tell me that you grew up in the Valley, you are a diehard ASU fan, and you are at the program, you are doing great. But another program calls and they said, we'll give you $6 million. I want you to look me in the eye and tell me you wouldn't at least consider it. I'm not saying you transfer, but if someone offered you $6 million, if someone offered you $3 million, you consider it. You think about it. You go, it's a lot of money. That can set me up. I can buy a house. I can afford to start my own business if that's something I'm interested in. That can help me start a family. That can help me move to where I want to live. I can take vacations. I can make luxury purchases if I want a nice car. That stuff matters a lot, especially to an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. You get given that kind of money, that's hard to turn down. And you can't blame these kids. And your other conferences, especially the SEC and the Big Ten, they simply have that ability that ASU cannot match now and may not ever be able to match, period. So let's go ahead and advance the conversation. Could Sam Leavitt return to ASU? Never say never. Here's why. And we will be, of course, playing devil's advocate. But you never say never. Sam Leavitt could stay. There's a few things that go into this. First of all, these situations tend to turn into bidding wars. And ASU, who was able to keep Leavitt at a discount last year, may now see the situation and go, yeah, we can't lose this guy. He's our best opportunity to win. And you say, hey, we'll match what this program is offering you. We will go slightly under with you understanding it's the best that we can do. That could be enough to convince Sam Leavitt to stay. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, if that is the goal, is to find a bag for yourself, then why leave? If you are able to still secure that kind of money, why leave? Stay at the place that you've been to. I mean, that's another reason to stay right there. Levitt wants to go pro. There is no better way to go pro than to continue playing with the consistency that is the coaching staff for ASU. He is going to lose Jordan Tyson. He is going pro. Jordan Tyson is going to be a top 10 pick, maybe higher. They're just losing him. I see less than 1% of an opportunity for Jordan Tyson to forego the NFL and come back for another season of college football with ASU. I understand that this year he was dealing with a hamstring injury. I promise you, NFL teams are not worried about that. They have enough games at this point in time to say, yeah, no, we know what Jordan Tyson is. We're going to draft him for what he is. We're not going to worry about a hamstring injury ruining his career. But ASU does have the same coaching staff that they had when Sam Leavitt got here. Could that change? Yeah. Marcus Arroyo could get a job somewhere else. Someone offers for him to be a head coach. You could see someone else on the assistant coaching staff find another opportunity. Kenny Dillingham says he's staying. I believe Kenny Dillingham. But, I mean, until ink dries on a contract extension, I will never feel comfortable with that stuff. I never will. Never. But I do believe Kenny is staying. And I have believed since day one that Kenny is staying. And I have not backed down on that. He said it was his dream job. How would it not be for a kid who grew up in the Valley? That's just where I'm at with Kenny Dillingham. But unless things change, and we have no reason to believe things are going to change, if Leavitt wants to go pro, here's your best opportunity. Play a third year with the same head coach and the same offensive coordinator in an offense that has been tailored to his strengths. Sam Leavitt is a mobile quarterback. He is a dual threat quarterback. He runs and he is very, very good at it. ASU has made their offense structured around that for him to be able to beat you as a runner. We saw from year one Sam Leavitt to year two Sam Leavitt how much better of a runner he turned into, how much better of a playmaker he turned into, because the offense opened up the opportunities for him to exploit defenses with his talent. So the coaching staff is consistent and the coaching staff is setting him up for success. You might not find that somewhere else, at least not immediately. Maybe you see it in your redshirt senior year, but you're not guaranteed to go to a new spot, no matter how high level a program it might be, and put yourself in an offense that is going to provide as much success for you that ASU has for him right now. So you're used to the offense. The offense is tailored around you. The coaching staff loves you. The coaching staff is familiar with you. You're familiar with the coaching staff. That stacks up really good for ASU. Here's another thing to consider. ASU in 2 years with Sam Leavitt has proven they are a winning program. They win football games. They won 11 games last year. They went to the college football playoff. They won the Big 12 in their first year in the conference. They still have a shot to go to the Big 12 championship game this year. Odds just got a little bit better after Cincinnati lost last week, but we will be rooting for Cincinnati tomorrow night to beat BYU. The odds are still there for ASU to make it, but they just have a chance to win 10 games. They are, what are they right now? 8-3, 7-3? 7-3. They win this week against Colorado. They beat U of A. That's a 9-3 record. And then you have your bowl game. ASU can still win 10 games. 21 and 3, or not in 3. That was the 21-6 in 2 years with ASU having Sam Leavitt under center. And I understand he has missed games. I understand that. But this program wins. And Sam Leavitt has been a huge contributing factor in that. If there is something in that, in winning, in contending, and certainly being in the national spotlight that is attractive to Sam Leavitt, well, there you go. You could go to another program. You may not be the face of the program. That might be another massive factor in this. It's not just about the money, which ASU can still give him a chunk of money. They couldn't 3 years ago. They can give him a chunk of money. They can't give him what other programs can, but they can set him up for success. They can help continue to place him in the national spotlight by winning a lot of football games. And for what it's worth, and this does not mean something to everyone, he is beloved by this fan base. Image might be a little hurt. Yeah. How could it not be? Feelings are going to be hurt when you are considering going to a new program, when you are considering your options to go somewhere else. You're going to have your feelings hurt. ASU fans have every right, by the way, to have their feelings hurt right now. I'm upset. I don't want Sam Leavitt to go. I'm upset as a fan that he would even consider leaving. I truly am. But he's still loved. He is still one of the most beloved quarterbacks that the Sun Devils have had since the turn of the century. He might be the most loved quarterback since the turn of the century. Like, how can you not love the guy? He's a competitor. He's really good. And he gives ASU an opportunity to win football games and go to championship games. He is loved. And Sam Leavitt knows that. Sam Leavitt knows he can get his name up in that Ring of Honor one day. He can make some history at ASU. He can break records at ASU. He can win titles at ASU. He knows that. There is intrinsic value in that, but it might not be for everyone. Some guys know they're a fan favorite and still just, they see other opportunities for themselves. And it's hard to blame those guys, but it does matter for some guys. And I do think it matters for Sam, especially when he decided to come back for a second year and he saw how much support he had for the fundraisers and the charity events that he did. He has seen so much love for the NIL opportunities that he has had. The fans love and support Sam Leavitt. And that's not going away, even if he comes back and feelings are hurt and you have to repair that. And I think that's fair. I will stand firm with that. I think it is fair that Sam Leavitt will have to repair his image a little bit with fans. But you're still beloved. And nothing heals a relationship more than winning football games. But at the end of the day, money talks in more ways than one. And there are opportunities for him to go make money now and in the future. I have a handful of programs that make a lot of sense to me for him to go to. I have 5/6 programs. We'll get to why it's 5/6 that I'm going to list for you. And then a handful of other programs that maybe could entertain Levitt, and some wild cards that could just shake up the transfer portal. The teams that I could see Sam Leavitt going to, and as a college football fan, so eliminating my bias with Arizona State for a second, as a college football fan, if he entered the portal, I want him to go to Indiana. I want him to go to Indiana so bad. Curt Cignetti, as he says, I win games. Google me. Google me. He took Fernando Mendoza, who's a talented player at Cal. He always had the traits. He goes to Indiana. He becomes a Heisman frontrunner for a currently undefeated program and one of the favorites to win, or not win, to be selected first overall in the 2026 draft. Curt Cignetti also made Curtis Rourke last year, took him from Ohio, and made him one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He knows what he is doing. Indiana dominates the transfer portal. Curt Cignetti is one of the reasons why. Sam Leavitt goes to Indiana, who already is really good in the portal. That's going to attract guys too. And with a coach in Curt Cignetti that clearly knows what he is doing with the quarterbacks that he is coaching, yeah, that'd be my top choice. I can make some coin, and there's a chance I turn myself into the number one pick. Yep, sounds good. Other programs to consider: Clemson. They have had success at the quarterback spot. Cade Klubnik is gone. I understand they're not what they were, but what I do know is there's a lot of talent on that team. There's a lot of talent on that team. Hopefully, Bryant Wesco will be healthy and recover from his neck injury. But they still have TJ Moore, who is a super high 4-star/5-star receiver. They still have the potential for their top receiver right now to return. I can't remember his name, and that's going to make me upset. They've got guys that are coming in. They've got good running backs. They got a good offensive line. That's an opportunity for Sam Leavitt to find success, and they have had success at quarterback. Cade Klubnik is going pro. Trevor Lawrence was the number one overall pick. Deshaun Watson was a first-round pick. They know what they're doing at the quarterback spot. That's attractive. LSU. This is very, very dependent on who they hire. But they have a track record of success. They've won national championships with transfer quarterbacks before. They are also a program that it recruits itself. The LSU brand recruits kids. And for what it's worth, the last time an ASU quarterback transferred to LSU, he won a Heisman Trophy, and he went on to be the number 2 pick in the draft. His name will not get mentioned. Miami, another one of my favorite picks as a college football fan. We want to talk about programs that have success with transfer quarterbacks. Cam Ward goes from Washington State to Miami. He goes from probably a day 2, maybe a day 3 pick to the number 1 overall pick, working with Mario Cristobal. Carson Beck transfers from Georgia, where his career was on the downward slide. He was a day 3 pick. He rehabilitated his career. He looked like a first-round pick early in the year. He still looks like a draftable quarterback, which is not where he was at a year ago, which is why he returned. He transferred to Miami. Mario Cristobal places him in an offense that gives him plenty of success. Sam Leavitt could look at that and go, yeah, Mario Cristobal knows quarterbacks. Oh, and by the way, they've got plenty of weapons too. They have got no shortage of really good football players on the offensive line, pass catchers. Defensively, they're going to win you some games. That's a good spot down in South Beach. It's also a really good spring break spot. So, last team / two teams to mention, and it's really just dependent on the coach, is Lane Kiffin. If Lane Kiffin stays at Ole Miss, or if he takes a job like the Florida job, which is, I think, where he's going to go. Unfortunately, I don't want him to leave Ole Miss, but like we're talking about with Sam Leavitt, money talks, and Florida has almost unlimited resources for Lane. Ole Miss does not have a money problem, but they don't have what Florida offers. Wherever Lane goes, there is a big possibility he needs a quarterback. If he stays at Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, who's one of the best stories of college football this year, is out of eligibility. Austin Simmons is back. Austin Simmons got benched. He may look to transfer. But even if he stays, he got benched for a reason. Sam Leavitt could go to Ole Miss and be successful. By the way, Lane Kiffin turned Jackson Dart, a transfer, into a first-round pick, and he's looking pretty good in the pros. Lane Kiffin knows what he's doing there. If Lane goes to Florida, DJ Lagway, former 5-star recruit, former number 1 overall recruit, let's call it what it is. He looks bad. He looks really, really bad. But he has not had good coaching because Billy Napier was terrible. Lane Kiffin could easily turn him around and get DJ Lagway back on track. Or we could see DJ Lagway transfer. And Lane Kiffin takes the Florida job. There's a quarterback spot. Boom, Sam Leavitt. And guess what? If the receivers stay, the receivers don't go anywhere, holy cow. You've got 3 first-round picks at wide receiver. You've got 3, at worst, NFL caliber players at wide receiver. And guys are going to follow Lane Kiffin. Those are the best spots for Sam Leavitt should he decide to transfer. You have other places to consider, just depending on what happens with how the team is in place, but they have quarterback options. Oregon depends on Dante Moore, but even if Moore leaves, they've got a lot on the roster. Alabama, same. Ty Simpson, potential number 1 pick. They still have a guy like Keelon Russell on the roster. They have Austin Mack. They've got more guys coming in. Tennessee, they've got the number 1 or the number 2 quarterback now in the 2026 class, and Brandon Faison, that is committing to them. They're probably going to look for him. Florida State, they're going to need a transfer quarterback. I don't know what's going on with that team, because we could see Mike Norvell on the way out as the head coach. That puts a lot of question marks with the program. Oklahoma, they've got some guys that are coming in as well. Brent Venables has turned that program around, but that's an attractive spot. Vanderbilt may not really have an heir apparent to Diego Pavia that we are confident in, but I also look at Vanderbilt as not one of the premier destinations. I think ASU is as good a program as Vanderbilt, and that is a crazy thing to say, but that's the world we live in. There are also going to be quarterbacks that enter the transfer portal and quarterbacks that will completely shift the quarterback market. Now, none of these guys could enter, or all of them could enter, but some guys to keep an eye on. We'll start with DJ Lagway. It's not been good at Florida. He may be on the way out. He may not feel welcome at Florida. We'll wait and see what happens. If Lane Kiffin gets hired, if I'm DJ Lagway, I'm going to stay 1 more year. I'm going to stay 1 more year knowing that I am an ultra talented player who just needs some coaching to help develop me, and I've got all the resources to succeed. But DJ Lagway could enter the portal. If DJ Lagway enters the portal, that's going to shake things up. I'm pretty sure I can say this right, but if I botch it, I apologize. Jaron-Keawe Sagapulitele, the Cal quarterback. If you aren't aware of him, Oh man, you gotta. I know not a lot of people watch Cal football. He's the reason to watch Cal football. I don't want him to leave because I just like programs being able to contend, and Cal has been so much better with JKS there. But he could enter the portal. That would shake things up considerably. Malik Washington at Maryland, I don't think he enters. I think he loves being the hometown kid, and that fan base is very confident in him. They are all in on him. The coaching staff is all in on him. They're surrounding him with talent, but a former 5-star kid, and he may see some opportunities that he just won't have at Maryland. He could enter. I don't think he'll enter, but if he enters, that's another guy. And then you got to keep an eye on some of the 5-star or highly recruited kids from this past cycle who sat for the year and may not even start in their second year, just depending on how things go. Tavien St. Clair at Ohio State. He's not starting next year. Julian Sayin has to play another year. He might win the Heisman this year. Tavien St. Clair could look for an opportunity where he can start immediately. That shuffles the quarterback market. Keelon Russell at Alabama. Ty Simpson should go pro. Your stock will never be higher. Keelon is probably in line to start, but Austin Mack is still there, and they've got guys coming in. Keelon Russell could look for a new opportunity. Hussein Longstreet at USC. We didn't see him this year, hardly at all. He could look for an opportunity. Don't even rule out like Lenore Sellers at South Carolina. He didn't take the step forward that he wanted to this year. Maybe he's looking for a new opportunity and a new coaching staff. I'd stay if I were him. I know this was a down year, but I think that South Carolina just straight up was bad. But there's a lot of quarterbacks that can enter the portal, and a lot of guys that I didn't even mention who can enter the portal and shake things up. And that would also affect if Sam Leavitt wants to go into the portal in two ways. One, now there's more opportunities. DJ Lagway enters the portal. I can go to Florida. Any of those backups go, I can go to Alabama. I can go to Ohio State. I can go to USC. Those are all opportunities that Sam Leavitt could exploit. That stuff is important. How does all of this affect ASU's future? Let's go best case if Levitt transfers, best case if Levitt returns, worst case entirely. ASU's future if Sam Leavitt transfers. Best case scenario if he transfers is ASU does not see any impact. They are able to go out in the transfer portal and land a premier quarterback. By the way, ASU is a very attractive spot for quarterbacks. Very attractive spot. They're recruiting very, very well. They were able to bring in Jaden Rashada in the first year. That didn't work out. That's still a high-profile guy. Sam Leavitt transfers here, has 2 successful seasons, and is trending towards the NFL. They have recruited multiple 4-star kids, who we'll talk about in a second. There is a wide open quarterback spot, though, for a veteran to step into, for a youngster to step into. ASU becomes a very attractive location for a quarterback to go to. So Levitt could transfer, and then they could bring in one of the guys that's in the portal, or could be in the portal that we just talked about, and be just fine. ASU also is just recruiting quarterbacks at a high rate. That may not change, especially if Levitt's gone. You may see more kids go, hey, I can get on the field right away. I may not have to sit and wait. Jake Fette, who has been considered the future of the program for quite a while, he could start as a true freshman if Sam Leavitt is gone. You have Cam Dyer, who we haven't seen this year, and he's cleared to play, but I'm not sure we will see him at this point. He's another talented kid. He could be a starter. Michael Tolson, he could be a starter. ASU is doing a really good job recruiting. By the way, heavily connected with Weston Nielsen, who is a 4-star quarterback in the 2027 class, plays in Texas, A lot of dots to connect there. We have previously seen from college football recruiting reporters who have tied Weston Nielsen to Arizona State. They're just doing a great job recruiting. You also would have much more NIL resources that are not tied into one player that you can spread out for a roster that needs some retooling. Get yourself some new receivers, rebuild your trenches on both sides of the ball, get some new linebackers, reload your secondary, actually get a competent special teams unit. That's a lot of money that can go to all sorts of places. Or it's money that you can invest in another high profile player that enters the portal. Maybe Sam Leavitt enters the portal and you have the money to get someone better than Sam Leavitt at a different position. Maybe you land a 5-star receiver or a 5-star offensive lineman or a 5-star defensive lineman. That opportunity is now available to you because you have the extra cash. ASU is also at this point just able to commit to their brand of playing high level football with people who want to be here. That affects recruiting, that affects transfers, and what ASU has become and what ASU is continuing to build now becomes complete foundation for the team. If Levitt transfers and you still find a way to go out and win 10 games again next year, at that point, it's a coaching thing. It's not a player thing. It's not a coincidence that ASU went from 3 wins to 11 wins last year when they made so many upgrades in the transfer portal. No coincidence. However, they brought those kids in because of the coaching staff, and they're still winning games, even with Sam Leavitt injured. Jeff Sims, who has been perennially perceived as one of the worst quarterbacks in college football, I was in that boat. Jeff Sims was one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever watched, and he's winning games at ASU, and he is killing it at ASU. And I am forever a fan of him at this point because of how fun he's been to watch these last 2 games and the way that he has stepped up for this program in a way that nobody believed that he could. I don't care if you were like the Jeff Sims stands that are out there, and props to you guys. No one saw this coming, what he is doing. No one. You're lying. You are lying through your teeth if you did. Unless you're Jeff Sims or his family or friends, you did not see this coming. I don't care what you say. But ASU's just winning football games right now, with or without Sam Leavitt. That's just where they're at. Now, best case scenario, if Leavitt returns, is that you're running it back again with your star quarterback. You won 11 games with him last year. You have a potential to win 10 games this year with him and without him on the field because you're just putting a good team in place. You return your quarterback, you return your head coach, you return your offensive coordinator. Statistics show, history shows that puts you in a much better position to win national championships compared to other programs. Doesn't guarantee it, but ASU does have a significantly better chance to contend for national championships, let alone Big 12 titles, which ASU is still in contention for this year, somehow, some way. Again, let's go Cincinnati Bearcats tomorrow night against BYU. That'll open up the door for ASU to get to the Big 12 title game, which is a crazy thought. But you bring back Sam Leavitt, you're still going to win a lot of games. You're still going to contend, and it's more solidified. Right. The best case scenario, if Levitt transfers, there's a lot more hypothetical there. But your best case scenario, if Levitt stays, these are things that we're confident in. These are things that we are pretty sure are going to happen. In fact, they're more likely to happen than not. Transfer portal, you're going to see a lot of offensive players that want to come to ASU, especially the wide receiver position, because Jordan Tyson is gone. Malik McLean is out of eligibility. Who knows what's going on with the rest of the guys who we haven't seen very much of this year. Guys could want to come here and go, hey, Sam Leavitt loves throwing to his number one target. I want to be his number one target. I want to catch 80 passes. I want to catch 10 touchdowns. I want to post 1,200 yards. And I have the opportunity to do that by playing with Sam Leavitt. You are going to see a lot more players at the wide receiver position take an interest in coming to ASU. They still brought in 3 kids last year, and that's with Arizona State still having Jordan Tyson. And they knew that they were going to have to compete for targets. You're going to have such a massive target share just from Tyson leaving, let alone Malik McClain and Shimon Mateer, the tight end, leaving. That's going to be attractive for these kids. And it's also going to provide an uptick with the fan support. Everyone stays all in. It's a great team for another year, and your NIL will continue to grow. Worst case scenario, period. Levitt stays or Levitt goes. There is a chance that ASU just takes a step backwards in multiple ways. You win less games. More players transfer out, less players transfer in. The coaching staff starts looking for new opportunities. The fan support starts to go down. NIL either stays where it's at or it starts slipping a little bit. The program image could be shattered and the future becomes bleak, even if he stays, because now you have a little bit of a controversy around Sam Leavitt. There's a bad taste in people's mouths with Sam Leavitt, and it could just lead to some chemistry problems. It might not work out. And certainly if he leaves, ASU is going to be staring down the barrel to try and replicate the insane amount of success that they have had. That is no guarantee for the Arizona State Sun Devils. That the best case scenario we talked about, if Levitt transfers, is going to play out. There's a chance none of it works out. They may not get a guy in the portal. Their recruits may not work out. They may not be able to attract the guys in the portal that they want to, even with a little extra coin. The fans may not care as much anymore. Your NIL may not take that step forward. Recruiting could take a step down too. There is a huge possibility that there are more negatives than positives if Levitt transfers. But that does not mean that ASU is going to be down and out. ASU losing Sam Leavitt and Jordan Tyson in one offseason. Oh my goodness, that was bad. You know what? Guess what? We were already considering that possibility. Have people forgotten that in May, June, July, that we were already anticipating Jordan Tyson and Sam Leavitt to be gone? Leavitt was just going pro, not the transfer portal. This has already been a possibility. This has already been a reality that ASU fans have been looking at. The difference is instead of Leavitt going pro, he goes to the transfer portal and the feelings get hurt. We have already been looking at the possibility of this reality. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And that's not a bad thing. It's just where ASU is at. Bottom line here, they're not out on Sam Leavitt. I think he's leaving. It's not out. He could still be back. Even if he leaves, they're not cooked. They're not done. They still have a great coaching staff and good recruiting, and the transfer portal could be better. ASU could see a big drop off in their future, though. Their future success with recruiting, their future success with wins, their future success with building anything else. That is a possibility for ASU. My final take. I think Levitt is transferring. I think that ASU is going to make a move for a semi-big name quarterback. I don't think they're going to get a DJ Lagway or a Jaron-Keawe Sagapolo-Tele or any other big name quarterback that could enter the portal. I'm not saying those guys are. They could. And I don't know that ASU is going to land those guys. But I do think that ASU Regardless, they are adding a quarterback in the portal this offseason. Guarantee it. Because even if Levitt is back, there is not a quarterback on this roster that has thrown a pass in college football in their entirety, whether they've been here 2 years, 1 year, whatever. They're going to add someone in the portal because they want to ensure that they have some kind of stability and backup option, just like they did with Jeff Sims. That's going to happen. If he leaves, I think it'll be a bigger name than if Levitt were to stay. And they're just going to have that quarterback compete with a talented room of freshmen. Cam Dyer and Jake Fette are very much in play to be the futures of this program. Jake Fette is held in very high regard. We cannot forget about Cam Dyer. We cannot forget about Michael Tollefson. There is talent on this roster at the quarterback position. All is not lost if Sam Leavitt is gone. It hurts big time, but they're not done yet. What do you guys think? Is Sam Leavitt gone? Is Sam Leavitt coming back? How is your outlook on the program changing if Leavitt is gone for the short term or the long term? Let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, leave a like, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. We're going to continue to have conversations about this as the season progresses and as the off season starts to materialize here very, very soon. It is going to be a fun time and a hard time and a sad time for ASU. They're going to lose players to the portal. Sam Leavitt, probably one of those guys. But if you believe that ASU has a future, well, I'm right there with you. I appreciate you guys for stopping by to Devil's Advocate with Richie Bradshaw. I'll catch you guys later.